Welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. ORWAT Jr.
Welcome to episode number 87 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas ORWAT Jr. It is November 1st, 2023, and for this feature, I have rock icon Robby Takac, bassist, vocalist of the multi-platinum selling band from Buffalo, New York, the Goo Goo Dolls. During this candid conversation, Robby talks about the recent release of Live at the Academy, New York City, 1995, the Goo Goo Dolls' past history, future plans, and Robby's top 5 favorite records of all time. So here he is, Robby Takac. Before we get started, please subscribe to the Rock Interview Series. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rock Interview Series. And look who has returned, the one and only Robby Takac. There is a member of the Goo Goo Dolls, also the brains behind the Music is Art Festival, which if you haven't been to, you have to go to that. And we're going to talk about that festival in a little while. And also, I used to call you the mayor of the Buffalo music scene, and I want to apologize. You're not the mayor. You're the fucking king.
Oh, come on, man.
You
Come
are.
on.
You
No.
make it happen. You know, when we first talked about doing this interview a month ago or so, I had some questions. I've been, thinking of some things, but then all of a sudden this like old live record, which I feel came out of nowhere. I had no idea this was coming out. It was released on October 20th, so almost 2 weeks ago, and it's called Live at the Academy, New York City, 1995. And holy fucking shit, it is amazing. It is this like live, intense, in your face, raw 32 song live record, a live record the way they're supposed to sound. What was this in the plans like for a while, or did this kind of like come up sort of like a last? I mean, I had to be in the plans, but I mean, was it kind of like a last second thing? Or tell me a little bit about why you guys really decided to release this at this point.
It was kicking around in my manager's office for a while on DAC tape. I think if you read in the inside, it kind of talks about it, and I might get some of this wrong, but I think we recorded it for a show called Modern Rock Live that Tom Calderon was doing. And yeah, I mean, we were just turning the corner, as a band at that point. And so they sent a remote truck out. I think it was the Rolling Stone remote unit they sent out, and recorded it on 2-inch tape in a remote truck. And so we mixed it, and there was a lot more stuff than actually aired, on the Modern Rock Live shows. So, it was really cool to have a document, that really represented that era. Like I said, that was, really a pivotal time for us, between when we were driving around in a van and, figuring we were going to get jobs someday, and then actually thinking that we were moving forward, trying to make this, our lives for real. So it was a pretty exciting time.
Yeah, I remember that time really well. I mean, I can't believe it's been 28 years ago. But I mean, you guys were like, really very popular in the Buffalo area, and for a lot of your fans, it was frustrating to see you guys not really, be as popular elsewhere. And that, and prior to that, you went on that tour with Soul Asylum, on the Superstar Car Wash record. What was that tour like for you guys? That was one of your first, major tours that you went on.
Yeah, we did the Replacements actually before that. We did, and Soul Asylum, and the Gun Club we did some shows with back then, and Motorhead we did some shows with back then, and Gangrene, and like like a lot of bands of that era, we did tours with. But I mean, it was a different thing, like we were driving around in a van, just trying to get to the next show. I mean, we certainly weren't making any money, and we were just trying to make it happen, and we really believed in what we were doing, But like I said, I still think we were driving around thinking that we were just kind of getting drunk, having a good time, and at some point life was going to catch up with us.
Yeah. Yeah. The amazing thing about listening to this live recording is, you know, I've seen you guys like probably like about 40 times, in the last 28 years. And you've always had like really great set lists. I mean, the last I saw you guys in August and the set list was amazing. But even if you go back 28 years, I mean, the set list is still incredible. I mean, it was like such an amazing show. And the intensity of it was just great. And I was thinking after I listened to this for like about the like 18th time, I drive my wife crazy listening to it nonstop. She's there like, didn't the new Rolling Stones record come out also? Can't you listen to that? I go, I gotta still listen to this Goo Goo Dolls thing. It's incredible. But just the intensity of it. I mean, you guys were like raw, and I'm thinking to myself, it's almost a double edged sword for them because they're so good live. But yeah, they want to probably like co-headline with somebody, and I feel sorry for a band that has to go on after them, after that, that performance. And
Yeah.
was that a problem? Do you think you maybe got passed over sometimes because of that? I mean, who can
Nah,
go after
I
that?
I think it was a little. I don't think it was that so much. I think we were just in a weird place. We were a weird kind of band for that kind of time. I think even when um you know Soul Asylum was breaking and the Replacements were breaking and all those bands of that time we're seeing a lot of success. I think like those bands and ourselves came from a different place, I think, than like a lot of the bands that sort of came after us. I think those bands were a little bit more uh, like they saw what was going on and they sort of decided that that's what they were going to do. Like they were going to play this alt rock music, bands like Soul Asylum, bands like The Replacements. We were just bands, man. Like we were trying to be anything. I mean, at best, we were trying to be The Cure, or Kiss. I don't even know, like something in there, But like, I think like there was a little bit more of a roadmap. I think for a lot of the alt bands, that came out after us, and so I think we were still pretty determined to be what it is we were going to be. When a lot of these bands were figuring out what they needed to be, to be successful. I think so. I think that that's a lot of what went on.
Yeah.
Or the world's just unfair, but I'm not sure.
In retrospect, do you think you could have became more popular if you were from, based out of LA or New York City at the time? Do you think being from Buffalo was kind of like a hindrance and in
Nah,
the beginning of your career?
nah, it's a bit of a calling card for us in a weird sort of way. There weren't a lot of bands from Buffalo, so I think when people remembered that about us. It was a little annoying, actually, because people didn't know much about Buffalo back then, other than our football team lost. Chicken wings were from here, and it was not too far from Niagara Falls. Like, and I don't think people knew much else. Now it's a little bit different of a story. The city's got some cool shit to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the interesting thing about this concert, it was like only 2 months after Name was released as a single. So and
Mm.
you guys were 2 months into it. So at this point, I mean, did you notice a big difference in like the audiences, from the time that single came out to like, this particular show in New York City in November of '95?
Well, those were still our fans, that had taken the first 10-year journey with us. Like most of the people who were at that show knew us from that. Um, and also, we used to play in New York City often. Even as a smaller band, we would play, Mercury Lounge and CBGB's and Maxwell's in Hoboken and a lot of stuff down in that area. We do shows there. Limelight we played. So I mean, we were we played around that area. We had done some shows at like Webster Hall and those types of places. So it wasn't outrageous for us to play at the Academy, but it was it was pretty cool, you know. And yeah, and especially because we knew that this event was promoted, by the radio station, so we knew that there would be, or by the radio show, so we knew that there would be more people there, and yeah, and like you said, name dropped. The funny thing was after Name came out and we started doing like these radio shows, we would do radio shows for everybody, man. So we would show up at a place and we'd set our gear up and start to play and basically nail a bunch of secretaries against the back wall of the bar, just they're like, oh my God. And and then we'd save Name till the end, of course, so they would stick around, and some of them did. And we'd play Name and usually play a couple more songs and finish to the bartender and the record company guy telling us that it's an early crowd, they but I don't know, it was a surprise to everybody, but anybody who knew our band understood that we had always thrown curveballs like that. It was just that one became pretty well known, and so I think people had to sort of learn that we weren't necessarily the band that did that song all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you have so many great songs to choose from. In personality, I mean, that song just is like just insane, the intensity of that song. String of Lies, where you and Johnny like trade vocals. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
love that kind of stuff. I mean, that was just it's amazing to hear that.
Yeah, it's just a bygone era, man. I can't. It's funny the way we're playing like it sounds like we're playing like a bunch of kids. I mean, we sound young. Playing. I can't even explain it any way other than that. It's just we sound like we're just out there to kick ass and take names. Like so. It's fun. Even the acoustic stuff has that vibe to it. It's like just cool.
Yeah, it's intense and it's almost like a little bit of some anger like in there maybe,
Mm,
some pissed off like, like youthful, ness in there and it's
mm,
yeah, it's great. The next thing I want to talk about, and again, I really it wasn't my plan to talk about this. Like I wanted to talk about like recent things, but like I said, this kind of just dropped in my lap and it was like it's absolutely blew my mind. Then a couple months after that, you went on tour with Bush, which was a really big tour for you guys, playing arenas. What do you remember from that particular tour?
we were like the middle band on that tour. No Doubt was first, and then it was us, and then Bush. So the thing I remember is it was booked in smaller venues, and it ended up in like the Palace at Auburn Hills. Bush was so big at that point. Um, but yeah, I mean, we were playing in arenas, man, and you know, uh, Gwen and Gavin, where their relationship was blossoming. So there was like all that drama going on, and we were just sort of staying in our bus and wait until it was time to go out and play. Um, but I think that tour did us a huge amount of good. Like I think really set us up to go out. The next thing we did shortly after that was a tour that band Sugar Ray and Fastball, and that was a huge tour, and that was our tour. So it really felt like people were there to see us play, and like on the Bush tour, it definitely. I mean, Bush was they were exploding at the time, so it was just amazing to watch. At points it was booked into like gymnasiums, and like I said, by the end, we were playing 23,000 seat arenas, but that was a pretty MTV, a thrilling MTV bill right there, although once again, it was prior to Iris, and all that kind of thing. So, it was really it's really a different, feel to the shows and such. We had played with the Rolling Stones as well, with like early on, with that same sort of configuration. Really interesting, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. At that point, did you guys have a touring guitarist, or were you just playing as a trio at that time?
We got the touring guitarist right after. Yes, we for the Stones we did, but for the stuff prior to that we didn't. No, no.
Yeah, that was again just absolutely incredible. Then of course Iris, which was released on April 1st, 1998. That was, I mean, you guys couldn't be stopped at that point, and it's gone on since then. Are there any other like treasures that you have that might be like released like this? I mean, because of the
Oh,
response of this.
tons, dude. I got a old CBGB show like that we did back in the 80s. Like, yeah, there's a ton of stuff, like, and most of it, like, it's funny, like when we listen to that Academy show, it's like it's not like the best for performances. It's like the mix is okay, like some things are kind of too loud. Like, and I remember at the time being very judgmental when we heard it and being like, oh man, it's like, oh God, like, it's out of key and, like, whatever. Right. But like, it's funny now when I listen to it, I listen to it with a different part of my brain, I think, like I'm seeing it for what it is, and for what was going on at the time. And I think it's really cool to be able to, like, you can see what's in there, like when you listen, you can see what's in there. It's like you can see there's something going on there, but it's not quite baked yet, and I don't know, something about that's kind of special, so I think I hear it in a really different way now.
Yeah, I mean it is live albums back in the 70s used to be pretty cool. People always used to look forward to them. And then just something happened where, a lot of live records didn't sound like live records anymore. And I think people just lost interest. This
No,
record sounds,
I think a lot of live records aren't live records, even
yeah,
records we do, it's like, you go in, you're like, oh man, there's a mistake here. We can fix that, because you can do that these days. No problem, like, you know, uh, yeah, you can change things, you can fix things, you can move things, you can do all that kind of stuff. But, that was just a live to radio recording, that we did the right way.
yeah,
We happen to, be in an era where, the record company would spend money on you, give you tour support, you know, put you out on the road because they believed in what you did, um, keep you out on the road so you could keep making records, and then make that investment in the group. It's like, you're not going to find that anymore, and I'm not faulting the record companies because, the revenue streams just aren't there like they used to be, so I think that it's a much different, I think it's a much different balance of monies now, that make things work. So you can't expect that kind of stuff. But back then they did. So, when they found out we were doing this show it gets heard on, so many radio stations, all across the country. So at that point, you're thinking to yourself, well, it's worth it to hire the best guys to come and make this record, and it was mixed by Jerry Finn, who, famously, launched the career of, Blink 182 and Green Day and, all those Southern California, you know, uh, punk skate, all post punk bands of the time, so, it's got a bold sound to it. I mean, the bass is monstrous on that record, man.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy to hear on Name, you know, because that's not what
I
name
love it.
that's not the name people are used to, Same thing with John cranking along with his, playing that acoustic as hard as he possibly can. And dude, the crazy thing is that's still our band. Like when you come see us play, that's what it sounds like, like it really does. Like it's more refined, there's obviously more instruments playing, we got some guys who are pretty heavy hitters who play with us, so a few things are elevated, but it's still got that same growl and punch to it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, that's why, the Goo Goo Dolls can continue to go out every single summer and get more. I think you guys are getting more and more popular. I mean, this last run you did in last summer, I mean, wasn't this one of your most popular run or the most successful runs you've had in
Yeah,
probably ever,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we laugh and say it's the same group of people that keep coming to see us. They just keep having kids. And those kids keep having kids. They just keep bringing them to see us. So God bless them, man.
A lot has to be said because there's a lot of bands that like we mentioned earlier and they peaked, like Bush, they peaked on that tour. That was it for them as far as playing arenas like that. And it was a slow decline for them.
Yeah,
And a lot of
yeah,
those
but
bands are like that.
yeah, but some of it might be the fact that we never did. Like, we've never been an arena band, ever. Like we've been a large amphitheater band, but we've never been a consistent arena band, to go into places. So I think for us, I joke about this all the time. Like when we sold 6,000 records, our first record sells like 9,000 copies, and our second one sold like 23. And I was like, what are you kidding me? We almost tripled our sales, like, but it was still only 27,000 records. It was always a victory, and like it really feels like you said, it's crazy this far into our career now to still sort of feel, in my mind, like, we've had, like, I mean, it seemed like a victorious summer to me, that's really cool.
It was a great show. Every time you've toured, I've been there one way or another. And this was one of the I would say I don't want to say the best one. I mean, I could say the best one, but I
Yeah.
I I kind of think it was, I
Yeah.
really
That's
enjoyed it. I
cool.
mean, everything like visually, I thought it was great. That the set list, of course, was great. I mean, I just thought it was a really great show. And
No, thanks, man.
I mean, we know every single word to every single song you guys play. I mean, it's just like so ingrained in our brains, It's
Funny.
and the energy is still there, and just a really good night out, a big
Yeah, that's
night out,
cool.
just like advertised.
Well, it's always good to see you out there, man. For
Yeah,
real.
well, thank you. So 2023 is about to wind down for you. I read that you still have one more pretty big gig ahead of you, I believe in December, correct? In India, you're co-headlining with Deep Purple.
Yeah, we're playing in India with Deep Purple. Yeah, yeah. We actually have a bunch of other kind of this and that's that we're doing. We've got a TV show coming up, which I don't know if it's been announced yet. So I won't say anything now, but we got a pretty big TV show coming up and a few private shows. And then yeah, and then we head to India with Deep Purple and War on Drugs and about 7 or 8 other bands for a big weekend festival there. And little time off over the holidays. John's doing a bunch of acoustic solo stuff at a bunch of the iHeartRadio venues, along with some other groups. And yeah, and then we head off to uh, Australia and New Zealand and another country, which also hasn't been announced yet. After that, which we haven't made the official announcement for yet. So yeah, so we're gonna be busy, man. Yeah, there's talk of South America again a little later this summer. So yeah, a lot going on, man.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are really have really made some real mark, like in like Brazil last time you were there. I watched some of the footage of that when you played with Bon Jovi, I believe it was, and like the fans were going
Yeah,
nuts, holding up Goo Goo Doll signs and signs
yeah,
with the
yeah.
words to your songs and that.
We actually went back a few days later or a few years later and did another festival there with Buddy Guy. Super fun, man. Yeah. So yeah, so we're gonna be doing a lot more overseas stuff coming up, this summer, and then probably put together some super cool tour for 25, I think.
U.S. dates in 2024. I know you can't say it, but you can say it. I mean, without saying it, right? There's got to be
I,
a
you know, I, you know, honestly, I don't really know of too many right now. I know that there's a few festivals we're doing, uh, but I don't think we're going to do any extensive touring in the States. I think we've played an awful lot in the States over the last couple of years. I think we're going to kind of give everybody a little bit of a break and then come back and hit them over the head again.
Well, that's fine for the other states, but Robbie, it's going to be
Ah,
20-year anniversary of
yeah.
this.
Well, well, remember we
Jesus,
skipped Buffalo this summer,
we
so
did.
you know.
So that's so I'm gonna say
We'll
Fourth
see
of
what happens.
July, 2003
You
or
know,
2004. I'm sorry,
I
2004.
don't know. After the first time when we they gave us permission to take down the street lights and remove all the railings in front of City Hall and take out fire hydrants and erect stages and such on the front. I don't know if they're going to let us do that again. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
I
and then
think it was a I think it was a coup that they let us do it in the first place, but I don't know if they're going to let us do it again, man.
yeah, and of course it would rain. It would be the biggest storm of the century if
Ah,
guys
come on. What's a little rain, man?
that wasn't a little rain. There were like signs floating down the streets by the Continental. It wasn't a little rain. It was
Dude, it
pretty.
was crazy. There
Yeah.
were we were at an after show party afterwards on the top of what used to be the cabaret. I don't know what I don't know what it was called at the time, Sullivan's maybe, but it's a big building and it was kind of right down Franklin Street. And we were looking out over the streets and the water was rushing through the drain so quickly that it was tearing off the electrical sockets and the wiring on the tops that were mounted on the tops of these chambers under the streets and igniting the sewer gas and blowing the sewer covers like 10 feet in the air. It's the craziest
Oh
thing
my
I ever
God.
saw. And like every once in a while you'd hear this because it was after the show. So it was kind of quiet out. And every once in a while you'd hear this sound. And it was the manhole cover flipping like a quarter, man. Crazy and hitting the ground. Yeah, that was nuts, man. It was crazy. There's an amazing place in that video if you look. The way it's edited, it's just sort of looks like we start to play, it starts to rain, and then the next song is an acoustic song, and John and I play 2 days in February, and then John starts to play Broadway. And what the thought was, we thought the show was over. We thought we were just going to go out and play a couple more songs because why not? There were 30,000 people there, why not, right? And so we came out, we played 2 days in February, and that was really cool. And pouring, and then we came out and started Broadway. And as we hit the chorus of Broadway, the whole band just started up behind us. And like if you watch, you can see it on our faces, man. We're like, get out of here. Like we had no idea it was gonna happen, and it was like, oh, so for real. So I think that's why that video is so special, man. It's like because like it was like every man for himself by the end of that thing, man. It was like crazy, it was just crazy. So it was like I think such a realistic representation kind of like what was going on in the city at that point. It was like everybody was just so excited that something was going on, that was like of that magnitude, and it was like if you remember Ani DeFranco played the night before,
Yep.
right? So it was like, oh, just such a celebration, of like the city and stuff, man. I don't know. It's just getting goosebumps, man. It was great night, man.
Yeah, it was probably my favorite Fourth of July ever. And you know what? It was really you know, it was like the fans weren't going to go home. Nothing was going to stop the fans, and the Goo Goo Dolls weren't going to stop playing. And it was like, fuck it, we don't care. It was like the storm of the century. We want to rock and roll, and it just like it was an endurance
Yeah.
test in a way, but we didn't care. I mean, you guys
Yeah.
could have
Well, the
played for like
miracle, well, the miracle was that there was no lightning. Like we would have had to stop if there was a lightning strike. Like they would have
yeah,
made us stop, and we were like, "Is there lightning?" And then like no lightning. We were like, how can there be no lightning with that
right.
kind of storm? I mean, you just figure there would be lightning. It was just like the most epic amount of water I've ever seen in my life.
It
And
really
we
was.
and we started out with like I think there were like 23 cameras or something like that or something. It was crazy amount, like 19 cameras or something. And by the time we were done, like we were like editing in like our relatives camcorder footage because one by one, all these like brand new HD cameras were just dying. There was HD was like brand new back then. So it's funny you can see the quality degrades as it goes on because cameras just start dropping. Because it was just raining so much that nothing was working. So we had some of them that were like clamped down like way far away, like underneath tents and stuff like that, and so we were like zooming in on those shots and stuff like that just because there was no great footage of a lot of it, but I don't know, would have been a boring video otherwise. And I think that it,
Yeah, there was
really,
always footage. There was always one camera filming, so you
yeah,
never had like to miss anything or edit anything
yeah,
out. It's all there. Yeah,
exactly.
that was really cool. You mentioned earlier about John doing some acoustic sets in the next month or two. I want to talk about your acoustic set. I was lucky enough to see you perform acoustically at a benefit show
Mhm.
that you had for Music is Art. And you know what? You really need to do more of those. I mean, it was
Yeah, I
absolutely
did.
incredible. I really enjoyed it. Like I wanted it to be like, like 90 minutes long, I thought it was great.
Yeah, yeah, I might do that at some point. I did some over the pandemic. I did like 4 or 5 kind of campy, sort of multimedia, sort of like acoustic kind of performances, and raising money for some folks and stuff. And um, yeah, it's nothing I really think about doing much, quite honestly. Like, I mean, I do it, at a fundraiser here or there. Music is Art. Uh, this last year, I did a little ukulele kind of set, like in the VIP area. That was fun. Um, but I don't know, maybe someday I will, I mean, I feel like it's more of a, you don't get a chance to really hear the words to songs much, when I'm playing songs and stuff. It's like, most of them come at you pretty quick and stuff. And so like when I get a chance to do that, it's sort of fun. Like that's always the comments I get. It's like, whoa, it's like, wow, I never really like took the time to listen. Like, well, you kind of don't, but like in that format, it's just your voice, and a little guitar. And so, I mean, I think people get a chance to kind of get a little bit more of a feel as to what the song's about and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was awesome. And then at Music is Art, this last Music is Art, you actually did an electric set where you sang vocals and so a lot of songs that, some songs you haven't performed live with the Goo Goo Dolls in a while. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, it's fun. That's what the Urban Achievers. That's Josh Heatley from a band called the Juliet. He used to play with a band called the Juliet Dagger that was signed to my label many years ago. And yeah, he's amazing. Bulldog, man, like one of the hardest hitting drummers I ever met. But I think they just did a set of old Goo Goo Dolls songs a little while ago, actually, down at the Revolution Gallery. I heard. I was out hanging with my kid, but I heard that they did it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised there isn't a band that, you don't have a tribute band here in Buffalo that does it all the time because, I mean, I think
Why
that
they
would,
got us, man?
well, you don't really play those shows every weekend anymore, and you guys have other places to conquer. I mean, I wish, kind of like in a selfish way, it was back in the days where I could just go to the Continental and see you guys and any weekend. But I know you guys want to make money on that, and it's not all about me. I get it, but
No, it's all about you, man.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now I want to talk about Music is Art, and
Yeah, man.
I'll tell you, wow. I mean, this last year, I mean, I cannot believe how it's spreading. I mean, it's across from Riverworks, across the like river, and now it's like spreading out to like like that downtown Buffalo and that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's got to blow your mind. I mean, you being the mastermind behind it, but wow, it is so popular. It's insane, and it just keeps getting better and better every year.
Yeah, it's just I wish I could, we had almost 500 bands apply this year, and we ask people to come play for free too. We can't pay all these bands, like just to come be part of the bigger, this big cool thing, and 500 bands applied. We only had room for half of them, 250. And we ended up having to play. And I feel like I wish we could have had them all, the whole idea is about inviting the community, attendees, performers, artists, DJs, dancers, comedians, general freaky folks, wrestlers, um, performance artists, knitters, fire jugglers, you get my point. Like just all of it. And we invite them all. And, you know, when they when they show up, I sometimes have no idea what's coming, you know. Sometimes it's like there's like, you know, a marching band that comes by and I'm like, who ordered the marching band? You know, we don't know. They just showed up, you know, and they're all in costume. Interesting, you know, like like those moments. I want that weekend, that day, to feel like it's a time that people can come and just be that way, you know, like come, no judgment zone, man. You know, you are not going to be the weirdest dude there today, you know, like no question about it. You know, excuse me, you're not going to be the most eccentric person there today. Chances are there's going to be someone who's a little bit more eccentric than you are, you know, like um so, you know, I love the diversity. I love the idea that 20 people come, they positively did not have the same experience. Like there's so many stages, there are so many places to go, there are so many diversions, there are so many artists, there's so many disciplines, there's so many things to learn and experience. Like you're not going to have the same experience as another person, and like that's what's so amazing about the individuality of this event. Like the people you run across, you know, people that you know, even that you run across, you know, year after year. It's like, you know, it's just an amazing feeling to watch it all happen, you know, and you know, to see the older people, you know, who I knew when they were young and impressionable, you know, be the people who are, you know, the people who are out there be giving the impression, you know, to these other younger people who are, you know, in the same headspace that they were at, you know, when they were younger. And, you know, and these days, you know, people have the ability to see and know about a lot of stuff, but they don't. I think less and less they have the ability to actually like stand there as it's happening. You know, it's like they're getting it all through their telephone, or they're getting it all through, you know, their laptop or the television or whatever. Like for a kid to stand there and get splashed with paint, you know, or have a subwoofer kick them in the chest, or like, you know, stand next to like, you know, some amateur wrestlers, or take a walk through the silos, man. Like, I mean, the things that go on in there, curated by Kurt Rotterdam, of, you know, and his refringement gang, man. Like the things, the amount of different things that you experience when you walk through there, man. Like if you don't leave there at some point just going, what did I just see? What did I just experience? You know, like for a kid, man, I don't know. I can't even explain, like, to me how important it is for like someone to actually experience that. Don't watch it on TV, but stand there as that's happening, you know, and you know, and feel it and live it and realize that these are like real human beings, man. You know, they're people just like you and just like me, and you know, they're doing this thing, and you can do that, you know, and you could do something cool like that too. You know, it's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And my thought on it is, I mean, there's so much to do and there's so many people that want to do it. Have you thought about expanding it to like another day, so it's not just on a Saturday?
We just can't. We don't make money at this, you know, and I don't. We just can't afford to do it 2 days, man. You know, we're already. In order to make this will never be anything but more than it can be, and so it unfortunately limits us a little bit. Unless somebody swoops down, you know, with a couple $100,000 for us, um, you know, to make it happen. Because man, we don't, you know, remember, man, we did 27 stages and we didn't charge anything. Like it's crazy, man. You know, just the production. Think about how much the production is for that.
I
You
can't even
know, like
imagine.
it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. And but like, you know, and I guess this is a good time. Anybody listening, you know, if you want to help out, or you know anybody who owns a $1 million corporation who might want to help out, you know, we're you know, we're doing our best, you know, to keep this thing rolling. You know, I would love for it to be 2 days. I think the energy's there. I think the demand is there. I just don't think that we have the resources to make it happen, unfortunately. So if anybody wants to help us with that, love to talk to you. But right now, it's the greatest one-day exhibition of Buffalo creativity.
Buffalo, I think it's like, nationwide. I mean, I can't imagine anything topping this. I mean, is there another
Yeah,
music festival like this that you know of in the United States? I've never heard of
no,
one.
I mean, there's things that are similar, but I don't know of anything that goes to the extremes that this one does as far as exploring all these different areas in a very general public kind of way. Like, I think our community is, embraced this festival from it being a little almost backyard carnival, at my recording studio, and so I think the community feels like it's partly theirs, and I think that that's what makes it so great. Because like I said, if people don't get booked, sometimes they just show up and play. And like, as long as they're not causing trouble, I'm all for it, man. And like, that's the spirit here. It's like, not a competition. It's not anything like that. It's just like everybody getting together and making something that's like a little bit greater than themselves.
Yeah, like you said before, is definitely the diversity of it. I mean, you have so many different folks coming together there. It's so different, and they all get along. I mean,
Most of
I think that.
them. There's issues at times, but like, it's funny. Riverworks always says, it's like the people that are there that day. It's just a very, like, everybody's just trying to make it happen, man. Like, nobody's freaking out. There's no. I think we had one fight this year. Like, think about how many people were there. Like,
That's
one fight.
crazy.
What are you kidding me? And it was something stupid too. It was nothing. It wasn't like anything intense. It was just something stupid. And they were separated, and that was that. But like, it was probably 30,000 people through there that day. And
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah, and I also wanted to congratulate you. Another great thing that happened in 2023 for you was the expansion of your GCR Audio Studio. You have another building that you and oh, that's where you are now. Wow,
Yeah, that's just the overdub
that's
room
amazing.
of one of the rooms here. Yeah, we have a two rooms. This is the old Chameleon West studios that Mark Hunt and I ran back in the day. And Kim Ferrillo, who was the owner here, retired, and Alan Baumgardner. We built this place with me back when it was Chameleon West, and they retired, so we took back the building, and now we got two more studios over here, and nice big live room downstairs that we do drums in, and we're going to be running some Pro Tools, some Avid certified Pro Tools classes out here coming soon. So yeah, so big stuff going on, man.
Yeah, and it would surprise a lot of people. Some of the artists have actually gone over to your studio to record. I heard that Korn actually came down and did some recording over there.
Yeah, who's been in lately? Corn, Dinosaur Jr. Mars Volta. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming you do you do some of your recording for your stuff,
I
at
do
least
all I do
pre-production,
all
right?
my I do all my pre-production there. Generally I end up using some of what we do in pre-production. So we always end up with some stuff recorded at the studio. We did a lot. We did most of something for the rest of us there. We did. I did a bunch of strings and stuff for Magnetic there with some local string players and stuff. So yeah, I mean, we always end up doing some work there. John spent a month there doing basics for a bunch of songs on Chaos. So yeah, we use it. But it's funny. We end up working with producers who are in areas, and their resources tend to be there. So it ends up being cheaper to be in a more expensive studio. I know it sounds weird, but it ends up being cheaper because we're not moving our whole operation somewhere. We like
Yeah.
or excuse me, they're not moving their whole operation somewhere. They're set up to work. So we generally end up. We've been working recently at Greg Wattenberg's studio in Manhattan. I can't think of what he calls the studio. I'm flaking on it right now, but yeah, Greg has produced a bunch of records for us. So he actually produced Run All Night and this Christmas song that we just did as well.
Yeah, a brand new Christmas song just came out, and your song, and one of the things I asked you before when the Christmas record first came out was, have you ever thought of doing like Christmas theme shows where do like a month of like just the Christmas and some hits thrown in there? Has that ever crossed your mind, or is
Yeah,
it just
yeah, we sort of talked about it for a second this year, but I don't know. We haven't really, we haven't really moved on that yet. We'll see.
yeah? I mean, you
Seems
don't
like
really,
something we could do someday.
yeah, yeah. So that leads me to my next question. I have to ask this because anybody that watches this will go, "Why the hell didn't he ask this question?" And the question is, are you guys planning on putting out a new record in 2024?
We'll see. I mean, we got some time now, so John's writing some songs, I'm writing some songs. We'll probably get together and kick those songs around a little bit, and hopefully we'll have a record. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, I think it's just a matter of kind of what we get done right now. We weren't supposed to be play at all this month, and like now all of a sudden, like we're gone for 3 weeks. Like it's tough. You need to find the time to do it. So, depending on how our touring schedule goes and stuff, we'll see if we get a whole record together. But I feel like we'll have something for the new year for sure.
Right. And it seems like you guys are really good at putting out those like occasional singles, like you did last summer with
Yeah.
Run All Night. I mean that's just as good. I mean, as long as you have something like, coming out that's new, even if it's just a song. And nowadays a lot of people don't even really care about a full length record. I mean, it's not, I mean, they care
Yeah.
about it, but it's not as necessary as it used to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I don't know if I love that, quite honestly. You're right. I don't know if I love that though. I feel like there's such a, it really makes things a little bit less multi-dimensional, a, when a band feels like everything they put out has to be a hit. It feels a little bit less multi-dimensional, like there's less room to spread your wings, and a little bit more you just got to kind of shoot for one thing. So, but is what it is, man.
Okay. Well, Robbie, I want to thank you again for your time. But before we leave, I asked you about a year ago if you could tell me what your top favorite 5 records of all time were, and you did have a list, and I maybe it's changed since then.
Okay, are we talking singles? Are we talking
We're
albums? What are
talking
we
we're
talking?
talking full length records.
All right. Uh, Maybe Sign of the Times, Prince, 5. Cornelius Point. A Wizard, a True Star, Todd Rundgren. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. And see, this is tough, man. There's so many good records, man. I only have one left. Through the Past Darkly, the Rolling Stones compilation with that kind of psychedelic era. How'd I do?
You killed it. Yeah. It was
Was I close
pretty
to my
close.
last?
You were close. You forgot to mention Al Green, which
Oh, Al Green's Greatest Hits. How did I forget that?
that's
I
the only
love that
one.
one.
Yeah, that's the only one you forgot.
Really? Wow, it was pretty good. Which one did I add?
Black Sabbath, but I'm okay with that.
Ooh,
That
that's a
that
good
kind of
one, man.
surprised me. That surprised me because that was
Yeah, that's a good
1980.
one.
So you're in high school at the time.
I
Everybody's a
just,
metalhead.
I just want to say, like, how long ago was that you asked me that?
About a year ago.
About a year ago. Okay, this is there's a personality study. The only one difference was Al Green's Greatest Hits and fucking Heaven and Hell. Can you could those be any different from each other? You
I
know,
don't think so. No,
that's
I know.
there's got to be some sort of personality study in there. I'm telling you.
Well, it just shows that you're a big fan of music and a diverse fan of music. I mean, you like it all. You don't like just the one kind of music, which is very healthy.
All
Yeah.
right,
So
brother. Hey, Always great talking to you. I'm sorry it took so long, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, and good luck with your thing here.
All right. Thank you, Robbie.
All right,
We'll see
brother.
you
We'll
again
talk
soon.
to you
Okay.
soon. Okay,
All
bye
right.
bye.
Bye-bye.